Because women have things like breasts, they can get away with just talking about their problems and men feeling sorry for them. But if you just bring up your problems or solicit a woman to feel sorry for you, she's going to think you're pathetic. So if you want to induce empathy in a woman, a better way to do it is to use stories. I love using storytelling to make this happen. Now, one thing that you have to remember is that the content is irrelevant. What's important is the form. The idea is to get her neurology moving in the direction of empathizing with you. So I'm going to give you two examples. First one, which maybe you've heard before, is the bunny rabbit story. So I'll say to a woman, you remind me of Bugsy. She'll be like, who the hell is Bugsy? And I'll say, did you ever have a pet as a kid that you really loved? And maybe she'll say, yeah, or no, I don't like animals. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And I'll say, well, I had a bunny rabbit named Bugsy, and I loved him to death. Him and I had a very deep connection. But my sister was very jealous of our connection, and she ended up snapping his neck. She ended up murdering Bugsy while I was at school. And my mom felt so bad that she went to the animal shelter and got me another bunny rabbit. But this was more of a wild-looking bunny, and it was mangy and mean. And I came home from school, and I noticed that Bugsy looked a little bit different. And I picked him up to cuddle with him, and he bit me. And my eyes welled up with tears, and I said, Mom, what happened to Bugsy? And she looked at me and said, honey, sometimes you get old, life's a bitch. Now, this is a fun story. You might be, worrying a little bit that it's not 100% genuine because you're making a joke at the end. But that's okay. The whole point is that you're causing her brain to move in the direction of empathizing with you. If you want a story that's a little bit more genuine and really powerful, I'll give you an example and you can come up with your own. I call it the brain tumor story. I'll say to a woman, I think it's important to live every day as if it could be your last. And I know that sounds cliche, but when I was a kid, I never followed that maxim. I always put stuff off. And I was very shy. And there was this girl that I really liked. And she liked me back. And every time I hung out with her, I made it a goal to kiss her. But I'd always chicken out. And then this one day I was at the doctor's having routine x-rays. And he found what he thought might be a brain tumor. And he told me, and it completely freaked me out. He told me that it was probably no big deal, and I probably didn't have a brain tumor. But just to be on the safe side, he wanted me to go over to UCLA Medical Center and have a team of experts check me out. So he sent me over there, and they put me through all these machines, ran all these tests on me, and then they sat me down in like a conference room and told me that I did have a brain tumor, and that I was going to need chemotherapy and exploratory brain surgery, or I'd probably die. And I remember running out of the conference room, running out of the hospital. I just kept running. And I started crying and thinking about how I'd never get an opportunity to kiss this girl, because either I'd be a bald chemo patient with a big scar on my head. The day before I was scheduled to start chemo, I knew it would be my last chance to kiss this girl. So I invited her over my house, and I promised myself that I wouldn't chicken out kissing her. And as soon as she got there, as soon as I opened the door, I just grabbed her and started kissing her. And she kissed me back, and I was elated. And then I told her that I'd been diagnosed with a brain tumor, and that I was going to start chemotherapy. And I told her, and she started crying. And I told her that I didn't want to go through the humiliation of losing my hair, and that I'd be honored if she'd shave my head. And she said she would. And like a minute before she was going to shave my head, my cousin Perry called me, who's a famous pediatric neurologist. And he said, I was in London for a conference, and I just got back into town and looked at the x-rays, and the doctors mistook a shadow for a tumor. So not only did Perry save my brain from being fried to cinders, but it taught me an important lesson, and that's to live every day as if it could be your last. So now this is a very powerful story. And often when I'm telling it, I get a little bit choked up, which adds to the effect. It forces the girl to empathize with me. It moves her neurology in the direction of empathy. And as a result, it creates a bond between us. And that creates a very powerful perceptual filter of comfort. Now, I want to make a small caveat. Don't go overboard with these stories. Less is more. If you start talking about your alcoholic father who used to beat you, or your mom, the prostitute that used to give you methamphetamine tablets, the woman's going to empathize. She might even feel a strong bond and connection with you, but it's going to be a big red flag to her to stay away from you.